Today on the Greenprint, we're talking with Justin Battles, founder of Battles Budz, one of the New York's first fully integrated veteran-owned cannabis microbusinesses. From jumping out of planes in the U.S. Army to building a clean, small batch cannabis brand from the ground up, Justin's journey is one of resilience, discipline, and purpose. After discovering cannabis as a teenager and again as a veteran seeking relief from ADHD and chronic pain, he turned his passion into a mission to cultivate organically grown cannabis that's clean, community focused, and crafted with care. With licensing secured, a location finalized, and a vertically integrated model that includes cultivation, processing, retail, and eventually an on site consumption lounge, Battles Budz is gearing up to launch with Justin at the helm. In this conversation, we explore his paths from military service to cannabis entrepreneurship, his vision for the New York market, and the blueprint he's creating for veteran led cannabis businesses nationwide. Thank you for joining us today, Justin. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, son. That was a great intro. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's my pleasure. So let's get right into it. Now, Justin, you said cannabis was the only thing that helped you feel calm and focused as a teen. Like, how did those early experiences shape your relationship with the plant?
So, I didn't know that I was even gonna be smoking or using cannabis for anything medicinal. I honestly didn't like back then. We didn't know any of the. I didn't personally know any of the medical effects of it. Just got to try it with my buddies, and I realized that I just kind of felt better. I knew I was always undiagnosed ADHD as a child. If you get diagnosed ADHD, you can't be in the military.
Wow.
You can't join the military.
Whoa.
So I knew at such a young age that I wanted to be in the military that I refused to try to go and get a diagnosis,
Wow.
even with all my teachers' recommendations and stuff. Just because I was like, it would stop me from being able to do the career I wanted. But smoking weeds and it gave me the feeling that I heard from my buddies who did take ADHD medicine,
Okay.
and I didn't like make that correlation. Then it wasn't until an adult and after the military that I was like, hey, when I was a teenager, I was really chill whenever I would smoke, and I was in high school. I got work done. We all have home issues, so it helped with anxiety and just feeling like you were just so much was going on. It helped you kind of focus and find your headspace.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It definitely seems like it benefited you, just keeping you on like the right track. That's great. So during your time in the army, you were diagnosed with ADHD and tried medications that didn't work for you. So like, I know you kind of touched on it, but how did cannabis fill that gap for you personally?
So, like I said, you can't get into the military with
Yep.
ADHD, but you can be in an hour and then be like, "Hey, I think I have ADHD. Can I get checked
Okay.
out?" And as soon as they check you out, they'll be like, "Yeah, you do. Here's some medicine." It's
Right.
kind of a stupid system, but um, since I didn't have that, the ability to smoke or do anything like that, I knew I was like, I wanted to try, what I missed out on in my teenager years of trying different medications for to help with ADHD or whatever. I tried. I think the first one was like methylphenidate, which is the generic name for
Hmm.
Ritalin. I tried Adderall, Wellbutrin, Strattera. I tried a whole bunch of them, and they didn't really do much. They didn't make me feel like I was focused. If I did get any little bit of focus, I couldn't tell if it was just placebo, if it was actually working. And then the negative effects was kind of what made me not want to take it was that I was getting I would stay up to like 2 in the morning. Sometimes I couldn't sleep. I would have an amazing focus, but it would be only on the things I did not want to do. And so it was like it was very overwhelming. So I was like, I'm just better off not taking any medication at
Right.
all because I've developed all these systems, I guess, throughout my life of how to manage, my symptoms without medication. So unfortunately, I'm just, I guess, one of the persons that medication just didn't really work right for me.
Hmm.
But once I left the military, I kept trying a few different more medications, and then I was smoking cannabis at the same time, and I was like, why? I mean, I was getting a lot better effect, but I was like, I was getting all the negative effects, which is, the appetite. You didn't want to
Yeah.
eat. things like that. So I was like, which the cannabis helps, it helps you, have an appetite. Um, but I just decided, um, once I realized, or did you always hear you can't combine cannabis with some medications long term because it'll cause psychosis.
Yeah.
ADHD medication is one of those. If you take it for 20 years and smoke weed heavily like I do, you're gonna end up with a good chances of
Wow.
psychosis.
Sorry
So
about that.
just seemed like if cannabis is already helping me, might as well just stick to that and not try to mix things.
Yeah, that's a great point. You don't want it to get mixed and become something worse. Especially when it sounds like you found a natural alternative that's kind of doing what these prescription meds were supposed to do, but without all the side effects as well. So it's like you came out on a win-win there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. You can't just smoke anything. You kind of have to
Ah,
know what to smoke and
right.
it's what works for you.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
you know, so it's some days I'll smoke something new and I'll be like, well, this is definitely not something to do something productive on. This is like more chill or whatever. But oh, this one's really creative and gives me focus. So
Mm,
that's usually what I go for, which is more the typical landrace sativa types. They end up giving you the more uplifting, euphoric, creativity, all that.
right, right. Makes sense. Yeah, there's different strains, different terps, all that good stuff that goes into it that can change how it affects you. So yeah, you're right. You got to be smart with the dosing there. Awesome. Um, Now for my next question, before I get into it, I gotta say, Justin, thank you for your service, 100%.
Thank you for support.
Yeah, my pleasure. So yeah, the next question kind of leads up to that, but basically, you did something kind of badass to say the least. Like your military career ended after injuring your knees in airborne jumps. So you were jumping out of airplanes. I mean, that's kind of like some GI Joe type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, how did that experience
Yeah.
influence your
So
mindset?
so funny story. When I joined, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be infantry, which is that's the GI Joe front. The gun shooters, front lines people.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I wanted to do. Um, but and that job sometimes gets full.
Mm,
And they have a lot of people in them, so
right.
they close down that job sometimes, and they don't let they want you to go and do other things. I ended up getting like sent through the beginning portion of MEPS or whatever for they had me like written up to do a parachute rigger.
Okay.
So I was supposed to pack
Okay.
parachutes, and I did not want to do that. So by the time I got to the last guy and to sign my contract, I was like, he's like, "You want to do this?" I was like, "No, I want to do infantry." And he's like, "Well, it's closed." And I was like, "That's all I want to do. That's all I've wanted to do." And
Yep.
he's like, "Well, I can pull some strings."
Wow.
And so he pulled some strings, and I got infantry. And then since I'd already just got the airborne physical for the parachute rigger, they were just like, "You want to do option 40, which is a contract so you can do your normal basic NAIT, and then you go to airborne school, and then after airborne school you go to ranger selection to be like a special forces ranger." And so I failed out of that. I went through the 8 weeks of RASP and was non-selected. But the fallback of if you don't make that is you already have airborne school, so they send you to complete an airborne unit. There's 3 airborne units in the military, so I went to the one in Italy, and I stayed there for 5 years, and got to travel and jump into many different countries. I want to say the last count I had, I'd have to probably look at my records, but I know I had at least a little bit over 27 jumps. Um, you're supposed to do 5 straight out of to pass airborne school, and then you need to do one every 3 months to stay current
Wow.
as a
Yeah.
jumper. Um, but yeah, so after what's that, like 5 years of doing that, I just it just my knees took a
Of
toll,
course.
and
I hear that.
I ended up getting a knee a meniscectomy.
Oh,
So they did a debridement in my right knee, and then so I was like, I can't continue to do this,
yeah. It's tough.
impact based, exercises and jumps and stuff. So I decided to reclass to another MOS. And then so they sent me to needs of the Army. So they'll just put you into the next MOS that they need people in.
Right.
And so I went back and they trained me as to be a 91 Juliet, which is some type of mechanic.
Okay.
So I did mechanic work for the last 3 years of my career here at in Fort Drum, New York.
Okay. And like, how did that experience influence your mindset? Like, what you wanted to do next after?
Well, I mean, I've always liked heights. I've always liked the adrenaline, jumping out of things. But as for mindset, it really makes you understand that you can do hard things,
Yep.
things that are scary,
True.
and even afterwards is as scary as it may be, you just do it anyways, and then you'll get through it.
It's great advice. I gotta ask you because I've always wanted to.
But I will say,
Mhm.
sorry, I will say on mindset, the biggest thing that I do
Okay.
remember is not just from the airborne school. That was pretty easy, but from RASP and stuff like that, they really beat you down in the selection process.
Yeah, no doubt.
And for that is I developed at least a mantra that worked for me.
Yeah.
Was that I would quit tomorrow. So tomorrow never
Yeah.
comes. It's just a way to you
putting it
think,
off.
oh, I can't make it, but I'll at least make it the rest of the today.
Yeah.
Because I can do that.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow you're like, I can just make it through the rest of today.
Every time. Yeah.
So
It's a good way to keep yourself like
every
going
time.
forward. Amazing. I also wanted to ask, like, I mean, jumping out of a plane, that's something I've always wanted to do. I haven't done it yet. You've done it 27 times. Is the first and like the last time you did it, like, how does it feel? Is it still like I'm about to jump out of a plane, or do you start getting used to it a little bit?
It is. I'm scared. I'm scared shitless every time. The thing is that it's not a comfortable experience, and you're jumping about 1,200 feet, static line, so you don't pull a cord or nothing. It gets pulled automatically after about 6 seconds of free fall. But you're packed in your parachute, and you're like everything is like all on you for like hours before you even get into the plane,
Wow.
before you even get into the plane.
Wow.
And yeah, you get checked multiple times, of course, and then you're waiting, and then there's so many people jumping that if you're number 300 jumper, and they gotta take the plane up and do it a couple times.
Wow.
So
That's true.
they can only drop like 50-ish some people, or 100 and something people at a time. So it's gonna take a couple hours to get everyone through.
Makes sense.
And so you're sitting there, and it compresses you. You're like your entire body feels like you're in a sardine can. Your back hurts, everything, and then you gotta like penguin waddle for like 15 minutes all the way to the plane. It's like so heavy.
I
Everything's so
bet.
heavy. And then yeah, and then you get they stuff you all into the plane, and they're like move and like keep stuffing and keep stuffing until you're like everyone's like this close to each other.
Yeah, it does.
And then it's anxiety, dude. It's like because people get hurt. You can get hurt going out the door. If you swim over the static line, you can get your bicep ripped out. If you land wrong, you can break legs or whatever. Yeah, your parachute could cigarette roll, and you could fall to your death. All kinds of stuff. So it is scary.
No doubt.
The scariest part is literally all the way until you kick your feet out the front out that door, and as soon as the parachute opens up, and you're like, I'm alive.
Yeah.
And it's like this is pretty fun. This is pretty nice. It's cool up here.
Oh, amazing.
And then about 20 feet before you hit the ground, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. It's coming really fast. It's coming really fast. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And you land like a stack of potatoes, and you're like, am I dead? No, I'm alive. Am I broke? No, I think I'm good. And then you get up, and you gotta like walk a couple miles.
You gotta walk a couple miles.
So,
jeez.
Couple miles with all that stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta pack it all up and carry it.
Man.
So yeah, it's fun.
No doubt. No doubt. Like based on your military skills and habits, what do you think has been the most valuable to you as a cannabis entrepreneur?
As a cannabis entrepreneur, honestly, from my military experience, I will say it's just the structure. and discipline. Um, if I didn't have that, I'd be, I have a lot of ideas. I've always been an idea guy, but to have the discipline to sit down repetitively and work on it and not get distracted as an ADHD person, it is extremely difficult.
Right.
And being 3 years in the military, it did help with discipline because it wasn't just a matter of like you got to do it and not quit, but there's also the back of it is like even if you didn't want to get up, like I'm sure if you didn't want to get up and go to your job today, nobody's gonna put you in cuffs and take you away.
Right.
But if I didn't get up and go to my job and I was like, nah, fuck y'all, I don't want to go, like I would go to
Yeah.
jail. So it's like it creates massive like discipline
Wow.
and
That's great.
to know that like you gotta do things,
Yeah.
things you don't want to do in the moment. And I think that's like execution is like the hardest thing for an entrepreneur because we're good at ideas, but then you got to actually do the hard work. You got to like sit there and do the stuff that's
100%.
boring, the stuff that's takes a long time that you don't want to do. And that's all the army is about doing things you didn't want to do.
Amazing. So it kind of really set you up and gave you like all the right skills that you need, like discipline, work ethic, and like forcing yourself to do the unpleasant things because you know they matter. So that's a great crossover there. Now, how did you go from you went from growing like just for yourself and your wife, and then you launched a fully licensed micro business? Like, how did that happen?
So it was a it was a ride. When I got out of the military, I was set up to not do this. I'd made sure my entire like career going through. I was doing courses while I was in working on like cybersecurity, doing like computer like network security or network plus security plus a plus all those stuff, all the CompTIA things. I wanted to be like an NSA
Hmm.
analyst or whatever. Figured that'd be a good thing to do after the military. It'd pay a lot,
Yeah.
and I was interested in computers. So I started doing that like like when I got out of the military, and it was the most boring thing. I didn't have it was nice when I was in the military because that could be my hobby, things that I was interested in, work your brain, but in the daytime you could be physical and go to the gym and carry things and just be like a physical person. I need both.
Yeah, I feel you.
um so so going from that to only sitting at a desk and doing like computer work, I realized I could not do that and see myself in that for the rest of my
Makes
career.
sense.
So at that point in time, I was like, I was getting, assignments to do, projects like anyone else in school, and I was somehow making every single one of them about cannabis. So don't know how I do it, but I was without even knowing what like metric or biotrack was. I was trying to like, like oh, I'll create a system to seed and track and sell,
Whoa,
like cannabis
very
from
cool.
end to end. And I was like, it would not have been as no near as robust as what's already out there, but because I just didn't know. But I realized that I kept, integrating cannabis and everything.
Yeah.
And at this time, I was also growing, for my what I didn't say was the reason that I got out of the military was I had another injury to my left knee
Oh.
because I compensated. And
Mm.
so I had the same exact
Oh,
injury, but
geez.
like just because I was, leaning on the other side, it I had another meniscectomy.
Man.
And so at that point I can't run anymore, do the the normal day-to-day army stuff. So I just go to get out and I get 70% um, 70% disabled, and I'm full medical retirement.
That's good.
So that's why I was like trying to do a more less physically strenuous job,
Yeah.
but I still need to do something.
Something.
So at this point, when
Hmm.
I'm growing for my knee pain. At this point, I started growing for my wife as well because she has she has like bipolar, PTSD, lots of pain as well, and so I was just growing for the both of us, and and I'm learning about computers and integrating cannabis into that, and so I was like, why don't I what what can you do with cannabis like growing? I was like, I'm really interested in this, and this is very it gives me the brain stimulus and it gives me physical. You got to do things. So I was like, what can I do in this career field that will be at least give me a career equatable to what I would have, the life I would have had as an NSA analyst.
Right, right.
And so I was like, and I'm like, well, I'm growing a master grower or a master cultivator or whatever. They make somewhere about the same much as like a good senior analyst or cybersecurity analyst.
There you go.
So I was like, that's what I'll do. So I started going to school at Morrisville for cultivation. I was getting a minor there and a major in business horticulture. Or sorry, horticultural business management.
Okay.
And then with a minor in cannabis. And so I was there, and I was like, once I started learning more about it, and I started learning the management side and the business side, I'm like, I really like
Yeah.
business, and I like being an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So it's another facet to me. I'm really really interested in the business side of things, and so I was like, I'll lose that if I'm just a cultivator for somebody else.
Right.
So I was like, I could do the cultivator stuff and run a business. And I was like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Well, I've always been a legacy operator. I mean, since when I was 14, I was, selling weed with my friends. It was the way to, afford to buy more weed so you can continue to smoke.
Yeah.
You bought a little bit, you sold a little bit, and the little bit you sold, paid to buy more a little bit. And so I already, have the experience from the customer facing
Right.
things, and I like finding the kind of what cannabis works for people. I love doing it for my wife, and was like, oh, she likes the complete opposite of the type I like. She likes the big pain relief. She doesn't like the typical sativa. And so I was growing for her, and I was like, well, this is great, like growing for myself, growing for her, learning about business. I was like, what kind of licenses can you get to do selling and growing? And I was like, and that was whenever the MRTA, all this stuff was coming out, and that was like, oh, this is a real license type in there where you can be a micro operator, someone who's going to operate as the same as a micro brewery. You're going to be able to, you make your own products from the flower that you grew, you process them, you package them, you sell them in your own facility, and then like full circle, people can sit there and use them and smoke them. And you get real time feedback, so that just makes me really happy to like see that products I made and worked real hard on, put a lot of love into, and see that it does something for somebody and it's beneficial to them. Like
Definitely.
they either get that relief that I got, from ADHD, or they maybe get to stop taking some medication that's given them some bad side effects, and they
Mhm.
get to like use cannabis instead. And not only that, but the biggest part for me
Yeah.
is that growing up in Texas,
Yeah.
smoking, you couldn't do it. It's completely illegal.
Completely.
Like, and if you, it was a felony back then to
Mhm.
to be smoking and caught. So there was nowhere safe to smoke.
Right.
There's nowhere for you to like hang out and relax and just, be able to smoke in peace.
Yep.
So it was paranoia all the
It
time.
was.
And you're outside, you're like, walking or whatever. And that's what I was like, I get to like create a place where people can come and then use the products that I created in a beneficial way to them in a safe place where
Mhm.
they get to hang out and fully relax and take a load off. And I think that's just the most important thing, is to have a place that people can go to so that they can, take a load off. Like we got
Definitely.
bars, we got clubs, we got restaurants where people can go and take a load off, but there's nowhere to do that for smoking weed. You just gotta like stay at home. You can't smoke in your car. You can't smoke in a park.
Exactly. There's so many
You
still
know, like
restrictions.
we we're really like free in New York where we can smoke anywhere there's a cigarette, but it's still very stigmatized, and
Very.
nobody want. And we like 8 months out of the year, it's winter.
Winter.
We can't even smoke outside. That's like nobody wants to do that. I'm from Texas, so
Yeah.
it's too cold for me.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, Justin, you chose like an organic small batch approach. Why was that important to you, and how does it set Battle Buds apart?
I first started like many anyone else using like synthetic chemical fertilizers and stuff. For me, it didn't it didn't really, give me the same effect that I had even from back in the day when I smoked
Right.
just Mexican brick weed that was coming over.
Yeah.
And so it made me really, really want to know what was the the defining differences between what I was growing nowadays
Hmm.
versus what I was having as a teenager.
Right.
And one of like it's a lot of things like environment and genetic and all kinds of stuff. But one of it was the nutrient regimen. Like what you feed the plant. Like you can feed me, protein and I'm gonna be like more muscular. You can feed me sugar, I'm gonna be fat. So like
Hmm.
there has to be some kind of defining differences with regards to nutrition for the
Makes
plants
sense.
and what ends up in this final product. So when I started, learning about what's the most natural way to take this, because the people in Mexico, they weren't, they weren't growing indoor. First of all, they were growing outdoor, and two, they weren't using chemical fertilizers, as far as I know back then. Later on, maybe, but they use more natural methods. So I was like, okay, well, what's the best way to do natural methods that can, make it so that we get that closer result?
Right.
And I love learning new things, and I'm a control freak.
Right.
So my wife, she references me, calls me Doctor Strange or whatever, because he was very control
Hmm.
freak. I want to control all aspects of the grow,
Right.
and because it's important to me, and that's what. So I did a lot of research and learned about not just organic, but organic doesn't even mean what we think it means. It's been used as like a label stamp to say that you are doing things a certain type of
So you
way.
could say you're
But if
organic.
you actually look at our organic versus European organic, there's a lot of things that we are allowed to do that would make a product in Europe non-organic.
Wow.
So half the stuff you get is non-organic. It's just a certification. It's a certification by the government.
Right.
So I don't cannabis can't we can't even get that certification. That's off the table for us at
At
this
this
point.
point. Okay.
So you can grow organically, but you cannot be certified or call your product organic. But
Right.
I grow in a traditional natural fashion where I make all my nutrients.
Well, okay.
I make I use composting, vermicomposting with worms, fermenting. I naturally source from my
Hmm.
backyard,
Hmm.
weeds and different plants to like mix together to extract and to create my own nutrients.
That's amazing.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's for for around $100 of you can feed an entire acre of crop
An acre.
with nutrients that you make
Wow.
an acre.
Wow.
And it's lost method. Like back in the day, the Mayans, the Aztecs, all them like they grew
Yep.
hella plants,
Yeah.
but they didn't have no bottled advanced nutrients, to,
Good
to
point.
to feed them. They were doing it naturally. And if we look in the forest, we what the whole point of this is to copy what nature does. What
Amazing.
what, what happens with nature is you got a big tree. The tree has leaves. Fall happens, the leaves fall, they fall on the ground,
Yep.
they decompose, and then they turn into a layer of mulch, and they return those nutrients back to the earth. Now, I mean, in cannabis cultivation, like we clean up all the litter. We don't want it because we don't want it to attract any insects,
Yeah.
and we do all these things that make it so the natural process doesn't happen anymore,
Hmm.
and that causes the industry to need chemical fertilizers.
Right. Right.
So
So you kind of went back to like the roots and see how it was done before, the tried and tested methods, and like you found an ingenious way. You can supply a whole acre for $100. That's still mind blowing to me. Uh, kind of a segue. As an expert, like what are the pros and cons between indoor and outdoor? Like I hear that, but I don't know.
so this is a really important point. In my cultivation, I still will be doing indoor
Right.
because with winter here, it's just
Yeah, 8 months.
not feasible.
Hmm.
I mean, you could do it like obviously there is outdoor here, but it's just not feasible to a good premium product.
Right.
And you could do greenhouse, and that would be a better option. It's infrastructure for me, it's easier for me to do indoor with my location, and it's and I consider more of an expert in.
Right.
I have very little experience with outdoor.
Okay.
Now, the differences between it and quality is that you can control all aspects of the
Good
environment
point. Yep.
indoor, but for outdoor, you're susceptible to bugs, pests, wind, rain, all kinds of fluctuations in temperature. And it's but with indoor, you can control everything: the vapor pressure deficit, the temperature, um, the when lights come on and off, everything.
Wow.
And so you can get multiple harvests with that, with being indoor, and you can get a more consistent product. If you do outdoor, you might have the one at the end really good, and the same exact plant at the end, like all clones of each other, the same plant at the end on the other side of the field, because it gets a different wind and it gets different pests over there, completely different. And it might not yield, it might have rot, it might have some kind of issues.
Yeah. A lot of variables.
But so for indoor, that is the biggest advantages.
Huge
Now,
advantage.
a level underneath that, is that back in the day, they grew outdoor before prohibition really cracked down, and they grew outdoor, and they grew the strains that would primarily do well outdoor, which you're going to get like your typical landrace or sativa, your heirloom varieties. They grew really well outdoors, and they were sativa leaning, so they were more uplifting, euphoric, and that's why I missed the stuff I smoked when I was a kid,
Yeah.
because that's what we were getting. Now come in prohibition and they start moving indoor. Now what happens is that sativa genetics, they grow tall, lanky, they're like very like sparse, and they just grow really big. And that's fine outdoors, but indoors you're constrained on your height.
Right.
So you don't want a plant that's gonna double or itself in height
Wow.
and then grow past your light. So they realize that there's the indica, and I do it with air quotes because it's a very um, difficult subject to parse through because there's misnomers. But the typical indica, the short, broadleaf genetics, they realized those were really good for indoor,
Oh.
and they were in the couch genetics. They provided more of the body high, more of the pain relief, more of the sedation, all that. And that was really good because they would get high yields indoors, and they can get quick. They flowered a lot faster. Everything. But then we would hybridize the two to be
Oh.
like, oh, I want this genetic that only grows outside
Yeah.
and doesn't do well indoors, and I got this genetic that does really well indoors and just stacks and dumps, and gets really, fat. And I want to cross them so that I can have a genetic that I can do indoors. And you keep muddying the
Wow.
genetics, and you get away from like what was true or what
What the
the plant
plan was.
initially was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we now have everything in the store, almost like 90% certainty, like almost everything, whether it says indica or sativa, they're all hybrid.
Wow. It's like that now. That's a gem. We just heard a gem today. Wow. Just learned key fact that I don't think most people, like 99.9% of people don't know that. That's some like industry knowledge that you just shared with us.
Yeah, I could go in more into it. It's a hard subject to even explain, just because, like I said, the misnomers
Yeah.
between indica and sativa, it's hard to touch that one. I'm not even going to attempt it. We can do it on another day. Yeah, it'd be an hour-long podcast of its own.
So maybe another podcast then. No problem. Um, so Justin, you're currently in the build out phase. What's been the biggest challenge so far in getting the facility ready?
Waiting on the OCM to approve location.
Yeah, yeah,
They're pretty slow.
yeah.
Um,
Were you part of the December queue or
I'm
anything
also
like
having
that?
issues with the no November.
November. Okay, okay. Jeez.
Yeah. So there's no injunction on mine, and I technically have a provisional. So even if my location isn't approved or whatever for some reason, I still have the ability to go anywhere
There you go.
and apply for another location. So I'm locked in for the next year. So I'm not really it's not really burning my time to operate. That they haven't approved me yet,
Right.
but it's still like I want to start.
Of course. Yeah.
So I guess this just gives me more prep time.
Yeah. It gives you more prep time.
But in the actual build out,
Hmm.
it's I don't know. I'd say the second to that is probably capitalization. Just being able to find the right partners and the people to be involved to help and fund the thing. It's a lot to build out a retail and a grow and processing and an on-site consumption. It's top line. What I've mapped out to build everything end to end is going to be like 1.2 million.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I only need probably like 80K probably to get the first phase going and just get retail up and running. But that's just still a lot of money.
Okay. No, I know it's not like a small amount for sure. But what I'll do is after this interview, I will connect you with Milad from Wecan. Maybe he could help you out with something there. He helps with like cannabis
Okay, I
consulting,
appreciate
funding.
it.
Yeah, maybe he can help. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. So New York's cannabis market is still developing. It's relatively new, only a few years old. What opportunities do you see for small, vertically integrated businesses like yours?
A lot. And
Awesome.
I've recently been helping some other micros with their websites, and they all got some crazy cool ideas, and I love the breadth of like things that they're going to be able to
Hmm.
do with the micro business. Some people are only get the micro and they only want to operate their grow in retail or
Mm,
their grow in some customer facing retailers. They don't even want to touch their on-site consumption. They don't even care about wholesaling across the state.
yeah,
They don't like all the stuff you can do. It's you can do a lot. The thing is, you have to have capital to get started
that's
in
the
each
thing.
one of these
Yeah,
avenues. And so a lot of them like to just focus on one and then maybe to grow to encompass the full licensing capabilities of it. But in the beginning, a lot of people are doing some kind of income generating portion of the
hmm,
license and then building from there.
okay,
But um, I'm gonna be doing bud and breakfasts. So like there'll be on the second floor of my facility. There's our grow. It's an indoor grow with two living soil bedrooms.
yeah,
And you'll on through the hallway where you'll be able to see visually a through like a bulletproof glass into the grow.
very cool.
And on the other side of the hallway will be two well, it's two conjoined rooms that are will be for like VIP bud and breakfast stays, so people can, come up, stay at the consumption lounge, whatever, maybe even smoke in the room, who cares? And then when they come out in the mornings or whenever in between, they can walk out to the hallway and just see a grow room, just like
Yeah, that'd be cool.
a legit what's going on, full transparency. And I don't think that's being done anywhere in the market right now
Yeah,
where you can see the grow going on. Like maybe you can get sign up for a facility tour or
that's
whatever,
different.
but to be a part of the daily operations that
Yeah, I like that
when people
idea.
walk in,
Hmm.
they come and purchase at the retail, they will go in through a separate entrance, go up to the second floor, and even just to go to the third floor consumption, they will have to walk through the viewing area and see the grow.
Yeah,
So there will be, if I'm not doing well in my grow, everyone's going to be like, well, what's going on there? Why does that one look like that?
yeah,
And I'll be like, well, I mean, I'm going to have to answer questions. So it's really just it's a way to keep me honest, and then just show everybody. Like I think the transparency should be one of the biggest things in this industry because we've dealt with you can go down the street to the smoke shop
hmm,
and get some kind of $10 pre-roll that is not tested, is from California or wherever,
hmm,
and there's no transparency.
that's true.
You don't know what you got. And then you can get a vape, and the vape could have pesticides in it
Yeah,
because they're just dumping the stuff that failed from California.
yeah,
And so there's no transparency.
there's no
Now, but
transparency.
I want drastic transparency. I want someone to come in and be like, what am I paying for? Like
Hmm.
my stuff will be very premium, very high priced, high quality, and the way to know that you're actually getting your money's worth is you'll walk right by and see it. You'll be like, "Oh, damn, that looks really good. I want to smoke it." Well, you are. You got it in your hand, going up, and you maybe you can do a in 6 months or whatever they'll be ready, and you be like, "Hey, that one in the back, hold that one for me," and like we could do some things like that with it. But just the tourism aspect, the interactive transparency, and then in the consumption lounge, that's like that's really what I'm getting I get excited about because we're going to be building a stage. We'll be doing glass blowing shows, comedy shows, music. It'll be like a cafe style lounge where you'll have table service. People come and wait on you. You'll get a menu. You
Wow.
can make a. You'll have like there'll be a burner phone on your table to like give you a tip back to the old days of like having burner phones, and the burner phone will just have one contact in it. You'll hit speed dial, and there'll be the pizza shop a couple, doors down, and they'll just bring the pizza over.
Yeah,
So it'll be like some things like that.
that's
So
pretty cool.
we're gonna be there'll be arcade machines along the walls. There'll be
Hmm.
pool tables in the back. Um, and just a vibe, just somewhere just to really relax and hang out.
I know.
And
Sounds like
then
it.
the area around there is really beautiful. The Saratoga Springs, Gloversville, Johnstown, all that area is just prime for like staying for like cabins and summer vacations and just escape from the hustle and bustle. So we're about 3 hours from New York City and about an hour from Albany. So we hope to bring people from like all the hustle and bustle and just be like, come in here and just hang out, relax. Like this is not like like you're supposed to chill. You're gonna you have everything you need, hand waited on, and people will pay for that kind of experience, I believe.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, and I think that's the approach people need to make when it comes to the lounges. Because, like you said, there's a place where you can drink. We have all these bars. We don't have anything like that for cannabis, though.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so another thing
Yeah.
is that I've been hearing from businesses. They got some ideas to do like a retreat,
Okay.
like a retreat style, like a spiritual retreat. Like people go to do a stay or whatever.
Hmm.
And then I don't know too much about their business plan, but I know they're gonna have like 20 different rooms where each room has a different event going on all the time, and you can just walk between the rooms or whatever, and it'll be like a spiritual experience. Maybe
Wow.
you like. I'm just making up stuff that
Hmm.
from what I think they probably would be doing
Right.
if they're in the space, but they may have like a sound bowl room, and then some acupuncture or like a some tarot or whatever else, and you could just it would be like this cool experience and less for towards cannabis, but more towards the spiritual experience that cannabis brings. So I think that's a totally different side. I'm more focused on actually like what you're doing when you're smoking cannabis, but and how does that go into? But they're thinking like cannabis is just a supplemental thing to get you in a headspace to experience this more broad things in life. And one other thing that we were thinking about is having even a cannabis camp. you
Wow.
know um have a same thought process, an outdoor grow, and have cabins all around, and people can come stay and take tours, maybe do a U pick where they can walk the field and say, oh, I want some of this or I want that, and they can get that. And just have it have the entire the camp decorated too as a homage to different um the cultural aesthetics of cannabis. You can design each one to have like each cabin to be like culturally um appropriate to be the culture that cultivar. comes from. So you can have like, a Jamaican area so that, it's, towards Rastafarian, or an African towards like the tribal people that were growing Durban poison, and, just all kinds of different things. I thought it'd be, cool to give people a little bit of the history of where
Yeah,
cannabis
that's a
comes from.
unique idea. I like that. Very cool. Now, you mentioned you're raising capital right now to complete your build out. How has that process been, and what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs seeking funding in cannabis?
So I got a couple things for that.
Hmm.
What I'm doing is
No worries. I see you though. We'll edit this. No issues.
very good. So what I've been doing is one, working on a pitch,
Hmm.
um, working on pitch decks, trying to make sure my idea is able to be understood visually from 8 slides. It's super hard because we're spending 30 minutes talking about it, and I got to put in 8 slides to get someone to give me lots of money.
Yeah.
I've been looking primarily, hoping to get like 1 million for 20% equity, and at a 10 million valuation, and I think that's completely reasonable because the just the just how much a profit a retail operation that is doing well is making,
Hmm.
and they only have one aspect of what a micro business can do.
Right.
And we are able to do wholesaling and processing and distribution and on-site consumption, along with retail and everything, and delivery.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, so like we should be able to, easily, just on those numbers, 5x whatever a retail is doing.
Right. Makes sense.
And so um, what I've been doing is just basically making sure the financials make sense, um, make sure I can convey that message to an investor, and that not only does it look like their money is going to get us to where we want to go, but that their money is going to get them what they want, which is a return of like 5x of whatever they put in. And I
Right.
think the only way to do that is to think very big, very, very, not going to sound grammatically correct, very much bigger than whatever, very, very more than whatever it is that most people are trying to accomplish. Most people are just saying, I got a micro, I'm going to operate like a micro.
Right.
And that's going to make them maybe 1 million or two a year,
Right.
which would be great. And they won't, maybe if they already are self-funded, they don't need, to make more than that. Unfortunately, if you have no funds, you need to find a way to make whatever you think you would need to make plus like times 5, so that whenever it's, if my investor only has 20% of my company, if I make 2 million, he gave me 1 million, he's not going to be very happy. Now I'm gonna have to find a way to 5x whatever I make, and that means your vision has to be way bigger than whatever you had initially. So my 10-year long vision,
Hmm.
past just the 2 years that I have for the license, will be to, license the model out. This model probably will do well, just as well as a microbrewery. There's tons of those. You find a model that works, make it, you make the SOPs, you make it exactly like what it needs to be profitable. You itemize it, and you can sell it, and to a company that doesn't know what to do. They're like, I'm just gonna grow weed and sell it in a store. And
Okay.
then you're like, here, I'll give you all my intellectual property. Just do it like I did it, and you can make money like I made money. And then they pay a royalty or whatever to use that information.
Right.
And then there's also the markets of being able to go um, to, be a multi-state operator. There's going to be other states coming online with micros. There's already Minnesota that has a micro business license. I think Michigan maybe does. And there's going to be, more states coming online. And so our plan is to expand this model and to, open up more locations. We're only going to be able to open up one location in New York, but
Right.
there's other ways to do it.
Definitely.
And so you got to be thinking about that, for an investor. They're not going to want to do anything with you unless you're thinking of long term. They want to invest in someone who's going to maybe be a cookies, maybe be
Exactly.
any of the other, big
Like the big
names that
names,
you
the
can see.
MSOs. Yep.
They're not going to want to invest in a micro that only wants to be a mom and pop shop.
Exactly.
So I would say just to have a big vision, that's a real good plan. Have the finances that to make it make sense for the investor, not just for you. To really work on your presentation of of what you want, what you're going to do, and then that's all just the prep work. When you actually and when you actually want to get started and you have it all together, I do this, and some days I do better, and some days I don't. But you need to reach out to like 100 people a day.
Yeah. Fair
And that
point.
sounds like a lot, but it sounds like a lot. It's only going to take 4 hours, and so I mean, we got ChatGPT, we got AI. You can do research on people, and you just got to find, VCs or investors, use LinkedIn, find people, create a personal reach out, and then reach out to 100 people.
Smart.
You maybe you get 10%, but if you get 10 people, you only need one person to give you $1 million.
Point.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I was on a phone call yesterday, giving my offer of that, and it's within reason. And they said, yeah, we're gonna get in touch, and who knows?
Amazing.
So maybe I have some good luck.
Yes, sir.
But
Fingers crossed.
you're only gonna get that by reaching out to so many people. It's a numbers game.
Definitely, definitely. So that's great that you did that and you took the initiative and played the numbers game. Because you reach out enough people, and eventually you'll meet the right people that you need to speak to.
Not only that, but you're gonna get better every time giving that pitch.
Great point.
The first time, I say I might be like, I'm looking to get $1 million,
Exactly.
or like 20% of my company, and then like the 100th time you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm looking for 1 million, 20% equity.
Yeah.
No smile, no nothing, because it's not bullshit. And you've had the practice to have the confidence. Confidence comes with
There
repetition.
it is.
It
Practice
doesn't
makes
just
perfect.
come from, yeah.
Amazing. No, that's great to see. Now, what does being a veteran-owned business mean to you, and how do you hope it impacts your brand identity?
Well, I mean, it helps me, you have to get a certification to be an SDVOB, a service disabled veteran owned business. So not only do you have to be a veteran and own a business, you have to be service disabled.
Yep.
So you have to have some kind of injury while you're in service, and that qualifies to make you an SDVOB. And it gives you a good network of people to get in touch with. It helps you with um, obtaining government contracts. And it's nice to, like, for people to, they want to support, businesses. It's like you got two brands and you're looking at them, and one says the guy's a veteran, the other one says has nothing. You might just choose the veteran just because, it might mean something to you. You might have some family or whatever. But that's just the big benefit. They also the one of the biggest benefits is the network of people who are in the cannabis industry that are veterans.
Right.
Um, one of our good friends, who's right around the corner from our facility, he has like a huge facility. He's one of the biggest brands in New York, Veterans Creations. And he does the New York honey. He does like space, the space rock or moon rocks.
Oh, okay.
He does a bunch of different brands in the market here, and they do really well. And he has a crazy cool facility that does beverages and all kinds of things, and some of the things that we're going to be working on, but we don't have the infrastructure yet to do at scale.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's been so helpful to be like, not only did he help me find the location that I'm currently in, which is phenomenal, but we have like a basic agreement that if I need anything, if I want to make a batch of 6,000 of my battle brew teas or whatever, I can do that, and we'll probably have a good exchange to be fair for both of us. But it's nice because he's right around the corner, and I'd be like, hey man, you using the stuff today? Can I use it? So I don't have to buy, because his facility, just for the beverage, just for the beverage
Yeah.
side, 250 grand.
Whoa.
And so Yeah.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I don't have 250K, nor do I think I should, spend 250K on a beverage, production, facility right
Yeah,
now, when, I'm starting out.
yeah, all things in time.
Maybe that can grow into it, of course,
Exactly.
but, in the beginning, it's like, it's nice. I can just go over there and use his equipment, and
That
it's
is
still
nice.
made by me. It's still, all one, one source, but I don't have to, I can leverage these
No
relationships.
doubt, no doubt. Yeah, and it looks like it's been fruitful. Like everybody benefits from partnering, so that's great. Um, now,
One hand washes the other.
yeah, I like that. Exactly. Well said. Now, Justin, how do you stay grounded and motivated through like the long, often unpredictable journey of launching a cannabis business?
Grounded, smoke weed.
There we go.
Smoke weed. My wife.
There we go.
My wife. She's the COO. She
Okay,
she
nice.
helps me stay. Yeah, she helps me. She's going to be also the retail manager as well, because she has loads of experience in customer facing, retail operations, sales,
That's perfect.
things like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I don't have no experience running a retail operation. I can be a bud tender. I'm not gonna be able to come up with the good systems in place to, like, oh, this is the workflow we do. I've just never done it. I could learn it, but she already has all that great experience,
There we go.
and she manages me. So for example, I know we were gonna go on yesterday, but I had an issue, and she was the one who was like getting me up and was like, "Dude, you had an appointment you were supposed to be for," and I'm like, "Ah, yeah." But she runs all my stuff,
That's very
and
cool.
she's really good at making it so that it's not so overwhelming for me.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It sounds like you guys have some really good synergy, which like I think is important. And not just like business relationships, but like any relationship in life. That's great. Now the Greenprint is all about the blueprint for success. What's the single most important decision you've made so far that you believe will define Battles Bud's future?
Single most important decision I've made that will define our future. Not being afraid to give away part of your company at an unfair valuation
Okay.
or whatever. Yeah, because I think that you need traction.
Right.
Traction is king over everything. And if you are at a stop and you need something and you can't get past that, solving that is your number one issue. Um, and it's you need to put all your focus into moving that needle in whatever aspect it is. What stops a lot of people, I have some friends that have licenses and they're in this position, is they want to do it all themselves like me,
Hmm.
but it's honestly it's not realistic.
Right.
You need a team, and most
Definitely.
people won't care about something unless they feel like they have a part of it and
Right.
they own part of it.
Good point.
So, and that comes with, even though my wife owns everything that I own,
Yeah.
she has equity that belongs just to her,
Right.
so that she doesn't feel like she's just working just to work. She's working for her company as well.
Right. Right. That's
And
fair.
I think giving people skin in the game is really important,
No doubt.
because it helps make us all motivated to solve the problem.
Well said.
And but on the flip side of that, um, also don't be afraid to give someone such a tiny piece of it that you would think that it would be too small for you, because you already own 100%.
Right.
If you say to someone, I'm only going to give you 0.75 of a percent, it might sound very low for them, and they might it might sound low to you because you might feel like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like on my valuation for what I'm looking for funding, 0.75% is a little bit over 15 grand.
Right.
So, and that's a good family and friend round. So if you have some family and friends that can afford a little bit, that might be a more low barrier to entry way to get some support, financial support from your family and friends, and not give them half of your company.
Yeah.
So
Good point. All right. And well, what's one lesson from your military career that every cannabis entrepreneur could learn from?
attention to detail.
Attention to detail. Okay.
Yeah, it's very. This is a very detail oriented job. You gotta when cultivating or even in entrepreneuring, you gotta you gotta remember to like cross the T's and dot the I's. You can't just leave certain details undone,
Right.
and so um you have to be very anal about knowing when you put work out that you know it's as close to perfect as you can be. So, but I will say it is very common for a lot of entrepreneurs to get stuck in the perfection cycle where it's not good enough to release, so they keep working on it, and it's not good enough to release, so they keep working on it. And a quick story I have for that is that next door, when Zuckerberg was working on Facebook, literally next door to him in college, there was a guy who was working on a version, a social media platform of
What?
basically the same
Yeah.
thing with likes and shares, and you connect with your
Hmm.
friends, like Facebook.
Yeah.
And he never thought it was good enough, and he just kept working on it.
Wow. They should have
And
launched.
Zuckerberg got it to a minimum viable product
Yep.
and just launched it
Hmm.
and said, move quick, break things, or move fast, break things, and then just fix it as you go.
Yeah. That's good
So
advice.
you have attention, you need attention to detail, but there is a point in time where you say, "Hey, this is this is this is shippable. I just go ahead and let it go, and then if there's errors, I can fix them along the way." But so it's a medium. It says if you are all the way on, you don't have no attention to detail. You just ship whatever is
Hmm.
working.
Yep.
You probably won't do well in the market. You know, you'll look like an average person. And if you wait so long until it's perfect before releasing it, you'll never release it, and
Yeah.
you'll never be successful either. So there's a middle ground of it's good enough.
Yeah. Exactly. You got to get the ball rolling.
Hmm.
Great advice. Now, 10 years from now, what do you want people to say when they hear the name Battles Buds?
I want it to be a place. I just want it to be a name that people know, where good quality cannabis is just found and that experiences are made, and so that you want to when I want people to be able to say you want to go to Battles Budz
Yeah.
for the weekend this weekend, and just like be like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. You're like, oh, Battles Budz is hosting this really cool event, let's go check it out.
Yeah.
So I want that to be completely in function, and then and just to have people like excited for drops that we will be doing. I wanted to have a limited edition type of a vibe, so that whenever a new product or a new drop is happening, it's that cult awareness of like, ooh, this is coming out, I can't wait for it. And like people are just hungry for it, and it's just like this niche little vibe of connoisseurs that
Hmm.
it's expensive, but you know that when you go there, you're gonna get the best.
Right.
And so that's what I want people to think of.
Think of, yeah, just kind of like a household name for the people, and even like as far as Albany, like you mentioned, it'd be a spot to get away. So I think you're definitely on the right path to make that happen. So I'm excited to see all this come to fruition.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Um, this is the outro for Greenprint. Justin Battles' story proves that discipline, passion, and a clear mission can turn personal challenges into industry changing opportunities. From soldier to cultivator to cannabis entrepreneur, he's building more than a business. He's creating a space where community, education, and high quality cannabis come together under one roof. As Battles Buds prepare to open its doors, Justin's vision serves as an inspiring blueprint for veteran led ventures in the cannabis space, a reminder that the strongest brands are built on purpose, persistence, and integrity. Thanks for your time, Justin. It was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Awesome, awesome. I just thought